Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Money Down Pod. That is my guy, Sean White. Follow him on Twitter at DumpsterFireFan. I'm Kayvon Izami at Kayvon_sports. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode here of the Money Down Pod, which you can find us on Twitter at Money Down Pod. Please go ahead and like, subscribe, review, all that amazing stuff. And we're here to talk some NFL football because it is the gift that keeps on giving. And I mean that literally because we just get nonstop news all the time. It's amazing. And what we're going to do with this pod here is we had a listener give us a comment. We did a pod the other day. If you want to go check it out, please do, on the Tyreek Hill trade. And we kind of tied that in with Davante Adams. And we had a listener, Jules Santana. Shout out to you. Appreciate the comment. Gave us a comment kind of disagreeing with us about his thoughts on the Tyreek Hill trade. So as we always do, and as we always say, whenever someone comments, we will answer. We're going to do that. And then we're going to end the pod with the big trade that happened this week with the Saints moving up to take two of the Eagles' first-round picks. And we're going to kind of break down what that means for both sides and what the Saints are thinking, what the Eagles are thinking. So you Saints-Eagles fans out there, stay tuned for that. Sean, how's your week going, man?
Going pretty well. I mean, Carolina took a tough loss in the championship game, but as I said before in the other pod, if you listen to the tournament talk, putting K into retirement was the sweetest victory we could have as a Carolina fan. That's what I was hyped about, and we'll talk about that on our tournament recap. But other than that, doing pretty well. Love this NFL talk. Drafts getting closer, getting real exciting. And we have the Masters this week. We're going to have a Masters pod up. I do a lot of golf gambling. I'm going to start putting up that some more golf bets than I have been because I actually hit on quite a few, knock on wood here, that I can keep it going. But I'm going to start giving you some golf plays just because I do hit on them occasionally, and it's nice to get some golf talk going.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. We will have a Masters preview here. As Sean says, he does pretty well with some of those picks. And then we're also going to do a quick wrap it up NCAA tournament, which was just a phenomenal tournament overall. Really, college basketball has to be super happy with that. But let's get into it here with the NFL. And as we said, Jules Santana gave us a comment about a kind of disagreeing with us. And Jules, again, great comment, insightful. You clearly know what you're talking about. So what we're going to do is I'll read out the comment here, and then we'll break it down and kind of give our thoughts on it. So Jules Santana wrote, Miami gave the 29th overall and the 50th overall. Tyreek would be a top 5 pick in this year's draft. The 4th rounders and the 6th rounder are just throw-ins, hardly too much at all. Tua didn't have the support of his head coach and improved across the board in his 2nd year. All these takes and retreads and show any lack of knowledge of the details. So again, Jules, that was Jules clearly saying he's clearly a Dolphins fan, we believe, in saying that this was a great move by Miami, and kind of explaining why his thoughts were. We already gave our thoughts on it, but we'll kind of rehash it here based off of what Jules said, and I'll let you have the floor here because I know we're going to attack this in 2 different ways, Sean.
Yeah, so the 2 things here is obviously we said that they gave up too much to Tyreek Hill, and he took that, I believe, as picks, which the extra picks are something else. But I was looking at it more of I prefer Davante Adams as a receiver to Tyreek. And I feel the Raiders gave up less with Davante Adams, money-wise and picks-wise. And that's where I was looking at it from. It's like if Davante Adams goes for that, that should be the top of the market. But then you trade all of that for Tyreek. You pay him a higher contract than Davante Adams, who, again, I view Tyreek as a top 5, 6 receiver in the league. But I view Davante Adams as number 1 or 2. And it's really dependent on if you think age with Justin Jefferson or not, in my opinion. And then you got Jamar coming up on Jamar Chase. Those are like top 3 level right there. And I see Tyreek right on the outside of that. So really it's the money and the extra picks that I was bringing up in that. But you are accurate in saying you're not going to get a better player than Tyreek Hill, especially immediately over the next 2-year span at 29 where you were drafting, or even with the extra pick you gave up. The extra 2 that you're saying are throw-ins, I mean, we can really debate what a throw-in is. I think a 6 is more, a 4th is a little more valuable. But again, it's more of the money level where you could get a Davante Adams type player when you got Tyreek Hill instead. but they felt they needed to do that. I also question the fit of it. You already have Jalen Waddle. Think you're going to try to use Tyreek as a bruiser like a Debo Samuel maybe, and Debo's a thick guy, man. Debo can take those hits. I'd be a little worried Tyreek getting hit like that. But I think that's kind of where the disconnect happened with that. And I'll let Kayvon give his thoughts because I've really got to get into this Tua conversation, which is the other part of this. And we're going to completely disagree on Tua. I know you have the retread talk going about what's going on with these Tua narratives. But I'm gonna throw out my thoughts on Tua, especially, and break that down for you after Kayvon gives his thoughts on Tyreek trade.
Yeah, so my big thing is this, and Sean, you're spot on. Devontae Adams is a better receiver. Tyreek Hill is good. He's special in a different way. Devontae Adams, you poll 32 GMs. 32 GMs are taking Devontae Adams over. Like, that's just, I mean, maybe there's a couple that want Tyreek Hill based on their system, but this system, which is my big point here, this is my issue with the trade, okay? They just paid him a massive amount of money, and they did it in a system that I don't know how much they're going to use him. If Mike McDaniel has it his way, which is he's going to, they hired him for a reason. It is going to be run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and throw it as little as possible. And when we do throw it, it's going to be those quick little 5-yard slants, quick little wide receiver bubble screens, maybe an occasional deep pass here and there. And I think mainly that's going to go to Jalen Waddle. Of course, now, though, they are going to have to force the ball to Tyreek Hill. They're going to have to. You cannot pay anybody this amount of money and just have him be a blocker when he's not even a good blocker, by the way. Okay? Like, San Francisco's system, which is what Mike McDaniels is bringing, is a run-first system where they use, like you said, Debo as a gadget guy. I don't see Tyreek being able to be that gadget guy. And you hit it perfectly. I think he'll get hurt if that happens. Don't wish for that to happen. I just don't see how that's possible, man. So you're going to tell me they paid this guy top dollar, top wide receiver money to block? Well, is Tyreek going to be okay with that? Because then I can see 2 years down the road, we're already having a big issue. Tyreek's not getting the ball enough, this, that, and the other. Tyreek wants out, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be a complete disaster. And for all we know, maybe what you're about to get into, and not saying you're going to say this, maybe Tua's not the guy. And they have a lot of picks next year, Miami, which is why the picks isn't that big of a deal to me. It's just maybe they're setting up to get another quarterback down the road that they can use Tyreek better. But again, it doesn't matter because Mike McDaniel's system is run the football. And to me, Tyreek Hill does not fit that. And Tua especially does not fit what Tyreek does best. Jalen Waddle does because Tua can just throw little slants to Jalen Waddle and let him do his thing. He can do that to Tyreek Hill as well. He definitely can. But I just don't see that overlapping well. I just think that's too much. They have their guy in Jalen Waddle. They need someone else that can do something different. And while Tyreek brings a somewhat of a different skill set, of a faster type skill set, it just doesn't make sense to me with the quarterback that they have and the scheme that they're running. The money is the issue. The paying that guy that much money when I don't think they're going to use him enough, Sean. Like, I just think it's that simple.
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe you said this all stream, so I want to give you credit on this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it for you in a way as well. It's kind of strange what they're doing here, trading for a Tyreek Hill, where you have a Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and then your tight end is Gesicki, who's basically a wide receiver. He's going to be your X. He's basically going to play almost a Travis Kelce type role, but he's not a great blocker by any means. He barely ever run blocked for them at all last year. He mostly went out in pass patterns. So with Mike McDaniel's system coming over, which the guy said in his multiple interviews, he dreams about run plays.
Yeah.
He literally dreams about it, draws them up, loves run plays. I find it weird that they're going with all these pass catching weapons on the outside that don't run block as well for that system. Mm-hmm. When I honestly feel like Tua is a lot more Jimmy G than a Patrick Mahomes or anything like that, obviously. And if you ask any 49er fan out there, they want Jimmy gone. They want Trey Lance in there.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd want Jimmy throwing the ball as much as the weapons outside would entail that they're going to throw it with Tua. And I think that's going to put him in some danger. Because I know you said the retread takes, oh, Tua's not the guy, this and that, and they say the same thing. I compare Tua to the other quarterbacks, not just in the league, but in his conference. If you think about it and you want to get to a Super Bowl, Tua is going to have to go head to head with Patrick Mahomes, with Josh Allen, with Justin Herbert, with Joe Burrow now. He's got to go head to head with these guys that are ultra talented, that can make moves, that can really carry a team on his back. And I don't think Tua is the guy that can carry his team. You said in your comment, he improved. He did improve, but he didn't carry the team when he improved. His numbers improved. I know he has a winning record right now, but again, great team around him. Defense is going to fall off a little bit with Flores gone, in my opinion. It's not going to be quite as good in that aspect, but the offense should be better. I do believe what Kayvon's saying right here. They're kind of putting talent around Tua to see if Tua can be the guy.
Yeah.
And to see how he runs the system, because next year's quarterback draft is one to watch for, and the Dolphins have a ton of picks that they can move up with if they need to. But again, on this Tua take, Tua's got a weaker arm. And I know me and Kayvon like to do this with a comparison to Mac Jones. I honestly prefer Tua to Mac Jones. Kayvon's a Mac Jones guy over Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Jones does have the upstairs brain power, it seems, to really change plays at the line and really run offense. And Mac Jones' deep ball is better, as Kayvon will tell you.
Yep.
Tua, I think, has the good accuracy on those shorter to intermediate routes. But Tua's arm isn't that good on those shorter to intermediate routes. And if you're making him throw stuff like that, you're basically saying, okay, you go be Drew Brees to win a Super Bowl. I think that's way too much to ask of Tua to do. I don't think he has the athleticism to move and make plays like a Mahomes did to get bombs to Tyreek downhill. I think it's a weird fit. And I think Tua is going to be one of the most controversial players to watch this year, because you're going to have guys like me who does not believe in Tua at all, and guys like Jules who made this comment that believes Tua is the guy. And it's going to hit ahead this season. And it's going to be something that I'm excited to watch. And I want you to keep watching and comment back. If I'm wrong, please, by any means, comment. I'm willing to admit I'm wrong. I don't think Tua is the guy just because he made some minor improvements from year 1 to year 2. I think he's going to have to make a major jump to not get replaced, and I don't see that happening. I don't see him throwing for 300 yards to carry a team. I don't think he's that guy in the league.
Without a doubt. And and again, Jules, like Sean said, man, this is all fun, man. This is sports talk. If we're wrong, we'll come on here and we'll say we're wrong. There's no doubt about it. My thing is just this, like, they don't pay this much money all across the board, not just Tyreek, everything they did in free agency.
Armstead as well.
Armstead, everything, to see how things go this year and then take the next step next year with Tua. No, this is it, man. Tua has to do something this year, because there are no more excuses. He's got the offensive coach that believes in him. He's got the offensive line now. For the most part, they got to add a couple pieces, but they did just get the best offensive line available on the market. He's for sure got the wide receiver talent now. They got a couple good running backs. Their defense has already been pretty good. Like, it is all there where Tua has to show up and do something in this death of a conference this year in the AFC. So, like, this is it, man. So they're going all in with this, and I respect it. I'm fine. I love people that get aggressive like that. I just think the way they're going all in doesn't work for Tua, and it's going to work for someone that comes in and replaces him down the road. That's how I predict it. I don't think it's going to work for Tua. Frankly, even it might not even work for someone who comes in and replaces it, because I just don't think Tyreek Hill makes sense for this scheme at all. But when you have a really good quarterback, it doesn't matter. It can make up for all of it. And Tua is not that for me.
Yeah, it's all going to ride on that left arm of Tua. And like I said, I've got my stance dug in. I think he's an average quarterback. I think he's Jimmy G, man. I really do. He's injury prone. I think he throws those short to intermediate routes pretty good. The minute you get him off his spot, you can start seeing balls sail high on him and get picked off. I think he's mistake prone in that way. And he's not going to be able to escape pressure because he's just not that athletic, to be honest. He was in college at a college level, but in the NFL, he can't escape like that. So I find him as a Jimmy G type player. I think McDaniels is going to put a Jimmy G type system in there with him. But it's strange because the way their pass catchers are, they're not run blockers like they are in San Francisco. So you would think you're looking for him to throw for 300 and some yards a game when the system more so would require him to throw for 250 and a touchdown. It's an odd fit with Tyreek, but we're going to see how Tua plays this year. And I want you to come back. And if I'm wrong, please go ahead and tell me. But if I'm right about this, we're going to be doing pods on it all NFL season. We'll talk about it. I'm happy to come back and revisit this topic, but that's what I'm seeing right now, and that's how I'm going to go into the off season and into the season this year looking at Tua.
No doubt about it. And Jules, again, great comment, man. Keep those comments going. If you want a rebuttal, please do. And anybody else out there, leave a comment, and we will literally do a whole segment just like this. We've done a couple in the past, and just like this, talking about your comment, whether we agree or disagree. So Jules Santana, really good comment right there. And we'll see who ends up being right on that. Some other big NFL news here on the Money Down Pod. That is Sean White. I am Kayvon Izami. Like, subscribe, give us a review if you don't mind. Is the big trade this week, man. The New Orleans Saints have decided to jump higher up into the first round and take 2 of the 3 Philadelphia Eagles first round picks. That's a big trade here, man. They go up and get 2 out of the 3 picks. The Eagles move back. They now have the Saints first round pick. I can read you the exact trade here when I pull it up in a second. All right, yeah. So the Eagles traded. The Saints received the 2 2022 first round picks, number 16 and number 19, and a 2022 6th round pick, while the Eagles received the Saints 2022 first round pick this year, which is number 18, and a 2023 first round pick and a 2024 second round pick, plus a 2022 third round pick this year. So that's a lot of stuff going back to the Eagles here. First of all, right off the bat, Sean, that tells me this. The Philadelphia Eagles are riding with Jalen Hurts for another year. They're seeing what they have, and they know next year they now have a bunch more assets to make a move next year if he's not their guy, which, by the way, I love. I think that they are doing this the right way. I'm usually not someone that gives Howie Roseman a lot of credit, but they're not hitting the panic button for no reason. They snuck into the playoffs last year. They have a bunch of assets. Why not see what you have here with Jalen Hurts? Because you have the ability to, and if it doesn't work out, now you have the assets to then move forward. So that's the first part of this trade where I think right off the bat, that's what that's telling us with the Eagles.
Yeah, completely agree on the Eagles take. I also think it's important to note that a lot of these front offices, and this is how you do it, you scout probably 2 draft classes ahead to really know what type of group you're going to get and kind of the talent pool of the next 2 classes. And I think Howie probably looks at this. It's been well documented from several insiders, people in the building. Howie loved Russell Wilson, loved him. And I would say that outside of Kyler coming out, which obviously they didn't have a shot at with Arizona, the closest Russell Wilson clone prospect you're going to get is Bryce Young out of Bama. And I think this sets them up well to if Hurts kind of stumbles, the same way we talked with Tua, if Hurts kind of stumbles, they now have ammo in next year's draft to go up and get a quarterback they like. And I feel like Howie's probably going to lean toward Bryce Young as long as he plays well next year. Obviously, a long way to go. But that's what's important about scouting these quarterback classes ahead of time, to know that, hey, we might not be in on these guys this year. Next year, we got 2 or 3 we like. Let's get some ammo and make sure we can go up and get these guys if we don't buy our quarterback. So that's number 1 for the Eagles. Smart move on them. I think they see a future that way, and they still keep 2 picks this year, 2 picks next year. Now we're going to flip side to the Saints, which I think you're going to go with they got fleeced. That's what I'm buying into. Yeah. Kayvon's going to go they got fleeced, and I tend to agree, which is very strange for me, because if there's a front office that I would want, I love the Saints front office. These last 4 or 5 years, they've been one of the best drafting teams in the league. And that's from every level, from first round picks to second, thirds, finding things. Ever since Jeff Ireland got there as director of college scouting, they've kind of had a 3-headed monster with Sean Payton really looking at these offensive players. I feel like Ireland probably took a little bit of the defense. Their cap guy's phenomenal. I mean, they're over the cap and then they get under it by 20, 30 million. And Loomis is kind of the guy that runs all of it. Their front office structure has been great. I don't quite understand this trade, though. it's kind of a disconnect. I think they see themselves as contenders and no one else does. They're really buying that with Jameis, they can compete. Because when I first saw the trade, I thought they were doing it to jump the Panthers to get a quarterback because they could trade both those first round picks, maybe throw something in the back end with a swap or something, and get up to 5 to jump the Panthers and get a quarterback that they want. All these reports coming out now are that they want to stand pat and get 2 big time players. And I know they need a wide receiver. We've been kind of mocking receivers here and there to them. I mean, quarterbacks, back and forth, receivers. And they're going to be in line to get one of these players. One of these receivers is going to be there. But for them to think that, okay, we're one more piece after that receiver away from being true contenders, beating the Bucs maybe, really competing. And I know the NFC's weak. That's a weird way to look at it, in my opinion. That's a Sean Payton way to look at it, and Sean Payton's not there anymore. And that's what worries me about this trade. And I'm not going to lean that they got totally fleeced because I trust their scouting department, but it doesn't look good from their side, and it's really going to depend on how these players hit. These 2 draft picks are going to mean a lot to them when they take them.
Yeah, you hit on it right there. So I tweeted it out right away. I think they got fleeced. To me, it makes no sense. And now it even makes more of it just what is going on when I now hear what's going on in terms of their thinking. Now, look, this could be all smoke, that they could maybe really actually want to jump up and maybe they do it on draft night. But even if they do that, I don't understand it. I mean, because there's not a quarterback in this draft, in my opinion, that's going to do it. But maybe, Sean, you could sell me on it if Sean Payton was, that's the main thing you hit on. If Sean Payton was still his head coach, then really, dude, you could sell me on both of these. You could sell me that, you know what? They were 5-2 last year with Jameis before he got hurt, and now they're going up to get more ammunition for him. But the guy that was running the whole thing, one of the best, most mastermind offensive guys in the game, some could even argue the best offensive mastermind in the game, is gone. He's gone. You think that as good as their offensive coordinator, who's been there forever, is, he is not Sean Payton. And Dennis Allen, by the way, which I said right away when this happened, he has had some issues before when he was the head coach. The players didn't like him. He was rude. He was yelling at them. I think the Saints are operating right now under the assumption that Sean Payton is still there as head coach. Like, that's to me what they're thinking. Because again, you could sell me on both of these. You're going to get a rookie because Sean Payton's going to coach him up, or you still have Sean Payton who's going to coach up Jameis Winston. You don't have him anymore, and I think that they are far off from reading their locker room right now. First of all, Michael Thomas, like, is everything okay? Did he just have an issue with Sean Payton and now he's going to come back? Because there was a lot of tension there. I know he was hurt. Second, Jameis, is he going to be able to stay hurt? The offensive line and stay healthy. The offensive line is nowhere near as good as it was. So I guess you're going up to get some offensive linemen and a weapon for him. I just think that they are maybe, bro, if their goal is to make the playoffs, okay, maybe they're looking around the NFC and saying, okay, you have the Cardinals, you have the Rams, you have the Packers, you have the Bucs, and you have the Cowboys. I guess maybe, even though I think the Cowboys took a huge step back. So we could probably make the playoffs. But if that's your goal, you're just pushing yourself further back from actually getting to the biggest goal, which is the Super Bowl, which they're not doing with Jameis at quarterback and with this roster, and in my opinion, with this head coach. So I think all around, this is a really dumb trade. I just don't get it at all. I think that they're overlooking who they are as a roster. I think they forgot Sean Payton's not there, and I think it's going to come back to bite them. Either way.
I think you can also look at the fact that Kamara probably gets suspended at least 4 games for his brawl in Vegas.
Yep.
He's getting a certain amount of games for it. I don't know how many it's going to be, but he's probably gone for 2 to 6, I'd say, probably around there.
Yep.
You're exactly right. Because if you listen to our draft pod, we're not high on the quarterback class, obviously. But I'll tell you what, one thing that would have made me reevaluate, if they still had Sean Payton and they went up to get a quarterback, I'd be like, oh, man, maybe I'm off on these evaluations, because if Sean Payton's buying him, he's one of the best evaluators and developers of quarterbacks the league's seen.
No doubt.
because he was all in on Mahomes as well. That's been well documented. He's been all in on a lot of these prospects that they didn't go up and get because they had Drew Brees, because they didn't want to use the draft capital. Other teams went up and got him first. Sean Payton was that good at quarterback development. And it's one thing to say, okay, I've got Sean Payton going in. He's going to develop a system for Jameis to not throw a bunch of picks and really be able to kind of ease in and carry the team. We're going to keep working with him. It's a whole other ball game to have Carmichael Jr., which is great. Carmichael Jr. is good offensive coordinator. He's not Sean Payton, like you said. It's a whole other thing to do that and say, okay, we're going to give another receiver. He'll have Michael Thomas, one other receiver, and Kamara, and the offense isn't going to skip a beat. I do think the O-line's a little better than you gave them credit for. They do need to replace Armstead, but the rest of that line is so solid. That's one thing they do well at drafting O-linemen. So I do think they probably have a target in mind for that O-line pick there, and it's probably going to be wide receiver O-line. It's just an odd trade, and I think it's a very big perception of the public sees your team one way where you in the building see it a different way. And like I said with the whole Tua commentary, that's going to be something we're going to find out next year. Are the Saints right in betting on themselves, and will they make a run? Or are we all right and what are you doing? Are you going to be able to even make the playoffs with this roster? That's going to be something to watch going forward, and I think it's a very interesting trade. Can't wait to see what players they take there.
Yeah, no doubt. That will be fascinating. And again, maybe they jump up and get that quarterback. But even if they do that, it just does not make sense to me. So we'll figure it out. Even though I don't like the Saints, I am honest. And like you said, I will 1000% agree. They have a hell of a front office. They have a stable ownership. So like, I don't usually doubt their moves. I usually just hate them. This one I'm doubting, and it could come back to bite me. It just, again, I really think that they are operating that their coach, who's been there forever, is still there, and he's not there anymore. And I think that it's going to be a slap in the face when they really come to reality and realize that. Obviously, they know it's just a phrase. You know, they know he's not there, but they believe it's going to be a skippity-doo-dah and everything's fine. It's not like that. It's going to be a much bigger gap replacing a guy like Sean Payton.
Completely agree.
This is the Money Down Pod. That is Sean White. I am Kayvon Izami. Give us a follow at at Money Down Pod. Follow Sean at Dumpster Fire Fan. Myself at Kayvon_sports. Anything else we need to hit on here?
No, I think we're good on this one. We have another back end of this pod covering some topics. We had some technical stuff, so it got split into two. So make sure you catch that one. Like I said, we got some Masters bets coming out too as well. Watch out for those on Wednesday before the Masters. And as you're watching through the week, make sure you get some gambling going on that. It's fun to do for golf. And we'll do our recap on the tournament a little later in the week as well. So keep a lookout for those.
No doubt. Yep, look out for it. Again, one hell of a tournament. Enjoyed it, and thank you all for tuning in, as we will really be breaking to all you NFL fans out there. We're hitting the draft hard starting next week. Let us know your thoughts and what your team wants to do. Just comment or reach out to us on Twitter at MoneyDownPod.